Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me I got my co-host, James.
Hello.
And today we are starting a new series talking about Spy Family, starting with the first volume. I'm super excited because this is one series that I've been looking forward to getting to. Obviously, we've prioritized other series that I've
Of course.
probably been even more eager to talk about. But this has also been one that I've been really wanting to get to, and so I'm really happy that we're here now. Also, for anyone that doesn't know, and I mean, I guess I don't know for 100% sure because I read this on Wikipedia, but James and I are under the impression that this series is pronounced Spy Family with no X pronounced in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if anyone knows better, let us know, but I think this is correct because I mean, it's technically not even an X, it's like some other symbol that looks similar to an X. So, anyway, just getting that out of the way as well. And also, I want to ask you, James, before you read the first volume recently, what did you know? Like, what did you know about this manga? Or, like, did you have any impressions or anything like that?
That's an excellent question because honestly, my impressions were kind of wrong. Uh,
Oh.
for one, I did expect this to be a comedy, but there is a bit of more of a narrative, at least in this first volume, than I thought there'd be.
Hmm.
So that's nice, but it is, to be fair, it is a plot that just kind of gets you introduced to the world and characters and sets that up. So it may become more kind of episodic, as you could, at least the last two chapters kind of felt that way. So maybe it'll be more like that. But, you know, the beginning definitely had a little more of a story to it all than I thought, and a reason for all them being there.
Yeah.
So that's nice, and it's a lot more wholesome than I thought.
It's so wholesome, it really
It's
is.
so wholesome. It may be the most wholesome series that we've read so far. I mean, it's only one volume, but
Right.
Kaguya-sama is wholesome, but it's romantic and comedic. And To Your Eternity has wholesome moments, but it's tragic. This one is just all sorts of wholesome, like family wholesomeness.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
like wow, like for a manga or a story that's about spies, murderers, and politics,
Yeah.
it's wholesome,
Right.
surprisingly so.
Yeah,
So
totally.
like that. And just what one more kind of misconception I had, I thought Anya was gonna be this smart aleck, know-it-all who she's like
Oh.
she looks really young, but she's not really old. Well, I didn't think she was old. I thought she was actually young, but she's like brilliant minded and just you know acts a lot older than she really is, which is the exact opposite of what it actually was. Um,
Yeah.
which I'm glad. I like what we have here, and I'm glad my ideas were wrong.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that. So, and also, so for me, brief little, I guess, about how I discovered this. Or, well, actually, I can't tell you how I discovered it because I actually don't remember just how I found this manga. But,
If I
but,
told you, I'd have to kill you. Oh, is that the spy in you, Peter?
yeah, oh, yeah. No, but legitimately, I cannot remember
Gotcha.
how I discovered this. However, I do remember that I found it very early on. Like pretty shortly after it started publishing, I started reading it in either spring or summer of 2019. And at that point, there weren't that many chapters released. I think it only started in March that year. So pretty shortly after, I somehow stumbled upon it and started reading it, and I fell in love with it pretty quickly. And so I started following. I started reading along with the chapters, like fan translations online, reading along as the new chapters came out until chapter 30 or 31 or somewhere around there. I stopped reading because I figured it would be fun to save it for the podcast eventually.
Brilliant.
Which obviously I'm glad I did because now we're here. So essentially, I've
Mm-hmm.
read the first 5 volumes, I think, which is less than any of the manga series that we've done
Right.
before this. So that's great.
It's kind of and it's kind of a gutsy call because
True.
for some of the manga, or well, actually, all the manga we've read have a reasonable fan base to them, especially Attack on Titan and Kaguya-sama. And To Your Eternity, I think, is getting there after the anime. So we kind of
Right.
took I think you, Petter, kind of took a guess on that one,
Yeah.
where it was like, I think this will be good. Let's hope the anime does well. And I think it has done pretty well,
Oh yeah.
and received pretty well. But this one, I don't think we were very far into the volumes that have been released, especially in English. Maybe only like 6 or 7.
Yeah,
Um,
there's 6 volumes released so far, and but I don't think there's that many more in Japan actually. There's only like 7 or 8, I think.
yeah,
Maybe 9, but definitely no more than 9 in Japan. I
right,
don't.
no more than 9. So it's a pretty fresh series.
Right, it is.
But based on volume 1, I think it was a good choice.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you agree. And yeah, I just had so much fun reading this. So yeah, it became one of my favorite manga, pretty quickly. And also the fact that it's an ongoing manga, I thought made it well contributed to me feeling like it might be fun to cover it on Umami Manga.
Hmm.
But yeah, even though I've read, I think the first 5 volumes, obviously I'm not gonna talk about anything past volume 1 in this episode. So just so everybody knows.
Thank you.
So there will be no spoilers for anything past this volume.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I guess let's dig into all of the characters one by one. And actually, James, would you like to decide if we should start? Because I was torn. Should we start with Twilight or should we start with Anya?
I say Twilight just because, at least for this volume, he was the first one to be really introduced.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. I feel like Anya is kind of the mascot though, so that's why I
Right. No,
why I
she's definitely the
asked.
mascot, but yeah, I think Twilight is probably a good place to start.
Yeah, let's do that then.
Really quick, that brings a question. So we're calling him Twilight and not his persona Loid.
I'm probably gonna switch between the two.
Oh, okay, okay,
Maybe. I mean,
okay. Yeah, no, I'm fine with that too. I'm fine with that too.
right. Well, what's interesting about him though is really that he has like given up everything in his life completely in
Hmm.
order to like fully dedicate himself to his work and to become like the ultimate spy.
Yeah.
That's like something we learned really early on, and because of that, he hasn't used his actual real name for
Right.
like almost 10 years or something like that. So he has become Twilight, even though that's really just his code name. That's
Mm-hmm.
the name he most he or he well he seems to associate himself
Well,
with.
that's what he calls himself.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So he has become his code name, and kind of lost his actual real name. And obviously, Loid Forger is just well
Right.
the current name for the mission. Um, but still, definitely, I think it's still fair to call him that. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be calling him mostly, but well, I think both Twilight and Loid are fine.
Yeah, I think so too. And it might change like come volume 2 and 3 because Yor is constantly calling him Lloyd. Obviously, she doesn't know his code name.
Right.
So as the story progresses, we're probably gonna hear Lloyd that name more. So maybe that become more comfortable. But
True.
obviously, that's not his real name. So it's like, how does that work? So,
Yeah,
anyway, I kind of
yeah.
want to look on the Wikipedia and be like, how do they list his name as? You
Oh
know?
yeah. Although that's also risky because I wonder,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So it's just kind of like stay away for now.
Mm. For now, right? That sounds smart.
But no, going to your point about him dedicating his life to being a spy
Yeah.
and just being the best there is, basically, he's a man of many faces. Like I feel like that's his expertise is be able to disguise himself
Yeah.
as anybody. I don't know how makes those latex masks so quickly, but hey,
He's
when
a
you're good, you're
pro.
good.
Yeah.
He's a pro. But it's cool in the. I think we only see him use it twice. I think, or was it 3 times? I can't remember. Either way,
At least twice though.
both those times are pretty cool. And I kind of felt like Anya when she was watching her spy, you know, TV show. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
spy's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, in the physical book, there's like basically the last page. There's a little like bonus thing, and it's
Hmm.
Twilight's profile, or like it's like a page of paper with just like his information, but like pretty most of it is just scratched out because it's secret, and like so
Yeah.
his real name is scratched out, and his age and his blood type, and well, yeah, like just a bunch of things are just scratched out. But there's one thing related to what you said, speciality, and it says it's disguise. So makes
Ah,
a lot of
brilliant.
sense. That yeah.
Okay.
But something else that like one of the more interesting things, like character backstory wise and plot wise, sort of related to Twilight that we got was that well, pretty early on, we learned that he hates kids and he prefers to do missions solo. and like,
Mm-hmm.
well, obviously all of that makes this Operation Strix very interesting because it's everything that he doesn't like to do in the mission. But related to that, hating kids and like hating when children cry and stuff like that was something that he sort of understood about himself a little bit later in the book.
Mm.
Well, he's reminded of his own childhood and like how he used to cry because his childhood seemed to be pretty rough, and he seemed to have become an orphan at a pretty young age, and he was all alone.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, you just look at the background. It's
yeah.
got tanks and rubble everywhere. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
like wow, some sort of war torn area of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's really sad to see, and would be kind of neat to learn more about that, and maybe
Absolutely.
with his name comes more revelation into that
For sure.
potentially.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait to get more on especially him, but really for Anya as well, and
Yeah,
actually for Yord too. Yeah, for all
I
of
think
them.
all three of them.
Yeah,
Hmm.
really. But like yeah, regarding Twilight anyway, that imagery you mentioned, like that we saw like the little panel from his childhood. I'm just trying to think about like, 'cause, I mean, I think it's quite clear that the present day story in Spy X Family or Spy Family uh, is inspired by our world's Cold War, like back in like the 50s.
Okay, yeah. So that was one of my questions. Is this the 60s, 70s? But you said 50s. That television set, that's not a television for the 50s.
Maybe 60s.
Yeah, it's got to be 60s,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Maybe 60s is more accurate. Yeah. But like, either way, it's like the Cold War. Like,
Yeah,
or
I
well, it's not
agree.
actually the Cold War, but it's in a fictional world that's inspired by our world during the Cold War. I think it's quite clear, especially with all of the spy themes, because that was obviously a big thing at that time, or it started to become more of a known thing at the very least. And with films like, or actually books, as it started out with like James Bond books and stuff like that. They started in the 50s and became movies in the 60s and were set in the Cold War, at least to start off. Which I think that there are some references to that, and probably references to like with the face masks are probably a reference to Mission Impossible. I would guess.
Hmm.
But anyway, um, what was I going to get to? Oh yeah. So because it's set probably in a time equivalent to our day, or our world in the 60s, or well, something like that, maybe early 60s, then I was thinking Twilight's childhood might be an event similar to World War II, perhaps.
Yeah, good point.
And like a war like that might have devastated his life, and like his family might have died in the war like that, perhaps.
Hmm.
But yeah, again, just I really just want to know more.
Right, totally. Actually, so I was just curious because I was like, wait a minute, what did TVs in the 50s look like? And maybe it is the 50s. Either way, it's like 50s or
Huh.
60s. So
Right. Yeah, yeah. For sure. 50s or
I
60s.
think that's a good time placement.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And but and it's interesting to get this kind of a story set in this time period from Japan of all places. You don't really hear stories like that.
Exactly. Well, it's made, obviously it's made in Japan, but I think it's like the setting itself and the
The setting
story.
is Europe, like the
Yeah.
kind of Germany and I don't know. You say Germany and France?
I would mostly say Germany, actually.
Just all German?
Well, I guess to me, Germany comes to mind because of the fact that Germany was split in East and West during the Cold War,
Mm, a
and
good point.
I feel like that's where Tetsuya Endo drew his inspiration from, perhaps.
Yeah, I think yeah. Now that you say that, I think you're right.
Hmm. I was always interested in like the history of the 1900s because there were like so many obviously awful things, but still I dare say interesting things happening, like the First World War, the Second World War, followed by the Cold War period, lasting quite a
Hmm.
long time. Has always been like historical eras and things that have interested me. So even though this obviously isn't that, it is still inspired by that. So it does intrigue me. Oh, but anyway, about what Loid, or Twilight, kind of when he remembered his past and why he dislikes children crying so much. It was nice to get to learn his reason for becoming a spy in the first place, and that was because he wanted to help create a world where children wouldn't need to cry. So that was very very wholesome.
It's very wholesome and cheesy.
Yeah,
Very
it is
wholesome.
it is cheesy, but it's good cheese.
It's
Yeah.
you know, Twilight's whole situation, being kind of this cool, maybe macho isn't the right word, but I'll use it anyway. Macho, pro. I don't need anybody. I'm a loner kind of a guy. That whole stereotype, and then finding or ended up getting a daughter like figure,
Mhm.
and and a wife eventually, is a kind of a trope in a way. It reminds me of these American movies like The Pacifier. And there's another one. You probably never even seen it, but there's another one where it's like The Rock, and he's like a quarterback, and he has to babysit this kid. It's where a child, usually a girl, helps melt the heart of a stone cold tough guy.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, whether it be like a marine or a football player or an assassin. And this is the anime version. This is the Japanese version of The Pacifier. Is basically what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Oh, yeah. That's really funny. I haven't seen those movies that you talked about, but for me, the movie Logan comes to mind. The Wolverine film, uh, called Logan. It's also a story like that where he ends
Yeah,
up
you're right.
taking care of a girl.
It's probably better written than those other ones. But you're right. I mean, it's a kind of a storyline that I think people like, where you
Yeah.
have a tough guy who kind of his heart gets melted with the bonding with a child kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Absolutely. It's a good concept.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, obviously he is very confident a lot of the time, but he does also slip up from time to time because and as I think he points out a few times during this volume, this mission is much more stressful for him than anything else he's ever done before, and he's done some crazy stuff in his past. So
mm,
I think it's pretty fun how these things that should be like everyday life sorts of things, like managing a family or whatever, like having a life like that, is more of a challenge to him than like stopping a bomb or infiltrating like some criminal leagues or whatever, you know.
right.
It's just like a funny thing, but I guess it makes sense since it's not what he's used to. Uh, but he really saved the day, sort of when he arrived at the party that Yor was at,
Oh gosh,
and like pretty much last minute he came in,
so great.
but he did sort of slip up there saying that they were married or that just
He probably had a concussion, so I don't blame him.
fair. Yeah, he looked kind of rough, but I loved that page when he comes into the room and he
Yeah.
just stands there and oh my god, so good.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, he knows that his line of work is difficult and
Mm,
requires perfection. But we could see that deep down, I think he desires some of these things. Maybe a more quiet life, a more peaceful life, and
mm,
one where there's love in it. But obviously, he's kind of struggling to understand that completely. I think his body at times is totally ready to take a break
oh yeah,
a few times,
yeah.
but yeah, it'll probably take a long while for Twilight to be completely open to maybe um, accepting this as, or even, not just accepting, but wanting this for a
Mm,
life instead of just being kind of a loner spy.
exactly. But yeah, that I feel like on a big
A grander scale.
and yeah, and like in the grand scheme of things, kind of, I feel
Uh
like
huh.
it's a kind of predictable story. I imagine. Obviously, I guess I shouldn't speak too soon, but I just feel
I
like
have some
this.
predictions that I'll save
Right,
for later.
right. But I just like on that topic, I feel like it feels pretty safe to say that this story will end with this fake family becoming a real family. It's just sort of what it seems like.
I hope so.
Right.
You know, Just
Yeah.
because, yeah, you can have like tragic kind of sad stories, but or they don't come together. But this, just the way how wholesome it is,
Yeah.
I feel like you would portray your readers,
Mm.
you know, if you were to do anything else. Whereas
Yeah.
other manga, you that kind of vibe, you get that kind of vibe. It's like, okay, this can't end in sunshine and rainbows completely, you know.
Yeah. Right.
So this one, I think it can end in sunshine and rainbows with probably a little bit of blood, but
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
well, that's the thing though, is I was kind of having a existential crisis about this, in that the main characters, like, well, the two kind of leads besides Anya
Mm.
are a spy and a murderer. Well, they're both murderers, a spy and an assassin.
Mm.
And it's like, if they were to be caught by police force in some matter, they would be probably put to death. They'd be tried for their crimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I understand there's a story, and we watch movies like this all the time. But just thinking about how they're kind of creating this wholesome family, and yet in the background, they're doing these morally bad things, questionable things, like murdering people.
Mm-hmm.
And we had been reading manga before, and I had been I watched got finished watching an anime where the main character refused to kill anybody. He was so distraught seeing that kind of stuff. And so it's just kind of like, kind of conflicting. It's like these people's job are to murder people, and yet I'm rooting for them. It's like, it's
Yeah.
strange. I understand it's a story, but,
Mm.
I don't know. I'm thinking way too hard about this, but have you ever thought about that? Like, you're watching James Bond and he's killing all these people. Okay, yeah, I guess they're bad guys. I guess.
Right.
And I guess you could
Exactly.
argue the same with Twilight and, well, maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about your.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. I was gonna say that because I feel like with Twilight, yeah, like he's actually fighting for peace, like
mhm,
actively doing something to try to prevent a truce from breaking. And
right.
so I can understand, I guess, him for that. But yeah, you're she. I guess we don't know exactly, I guess, what types of standards she has for like who she allows, or like who she accepts missions from and stuff like
Hmm.
that, like how that works, like what her thoughts are on that, or if she just blindly kills anyone who pays her. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
So
So
that's
yeah, I don't know why. Well, I kind of explained why those thoughts were coming in, is because I had been thinking about, and reading other manga and anime, just where you know the killing is so taboo.
yeah.
And then you get to this story where the people who are the murderers are the main character, the heroes. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's but okay, I'm done. I was about to go to, like, think about the real world, but let's not go there.
Okay.
It's too much discussion, going too deep. Let's move on.
All right then. So, what else do we got on Twilight?
The organization says, or reminds Twilight that they're heroes without a shadow. They don't get recognition,
Mm.
and he just kind of accepts that. Then later on, towards the end, I think the second to last chapter, he gets a little bit of recognition for the things he did. He say, "Oh, that's not too bad." I think
Mm.
having that kind of positive feedback does wonders to a person, and
Yeah,
it's easier to receive that positive feedback within a family unit. So I think that
for sure.
maybe going forward, he'll see, like, wow, it's really nice to be noticed for the things that I can do, you know?
Mm.
So
Definitely.
anyway, just another wholesome thing I wanted to add on to it.
For sure. Yeah, no, I agree. And like and I guess I'll continue on with another wholesome thing that I noticed from Twilight was during the interview at the school.
Hmm.
I thought it was really cute seeing how worked up he was getting when,
Yeah.
like, at first when Yor was being criticized during that scene, and also toward the end of it when he completely actually he broke the table
Yeah.
because they were talking and like they were making Anya cry. He actually, like,
Hmm.
to get those sorts of reactions out of him when his his wife and kid were in like, well, they were getting shit in various ways, then I feel like that was really nice to see him react that way.
I agree. I took note of that as well, and I mean, it was like a kind of a epic moment where you turn the page and his fist is just up in the air. I
Yeah.
forget exactly what he says, but it's a very intimidating moment right before he punches the table, and yeah, so you could tell he's growing attached. Even up to that point, he had been
Mm,
growing attached to them as a family.
yeah.
But even behind his, or even as he tries to keep his composure, he just can't. He can't let Yor and Anya be insulted like that. I don't know.
Right.
It's definitely wholesome.
Absolutely.
Definitely a father thing to do.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I have one last thing on Twilight, and it's that when he lies, I feel like usually he tries to blend truth into the lie,
Interesting.
uh, like in order to try to make it more believable. One example that or at least what I noticed it pretty clearly was when well, also during the interview when he was asked how he and Yor had met, he told it almost exactly as it was, except obviously the timing, he didn't specify the timing, and well, maybe he tweaked a thing here or there, but yeah, he at least kept the same location and all of that. So I thought that was interesting, and probably something that he does in other situations as well, at least when it's possible. Because I feel like lies are usually more believable when they're not 100% lies, I suppose.
Right. I agree with that.
So, did you get anything more on him?
I do not.
All right, then let's talk about Anya next. Then Anya Forger, as she becomes. Well, Twilight picks her up from an orphanage, and apparently the guy in charge of that place was creeped out by her, which was just like a funny little thing. Um, but she can read minds. That's kind of the big
Right.
unique thing about, like, well, the only supernatural thing in this story, I think, at this point at least. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, no, it is an interesting twist, and again, one that I didn't, or yeah, I didn't think beforehand. I always think that she'd just be this brilliant child kind of a thing.
Ah, right,
But
right.
exact, I mean, I think she has some brightness in her, but it's definitely more of she just reads other people's minds kind of a situation.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, she was able to use it to her advantage to get Twilight to pick her from the orphanage.
Yeah.
You know, so she at least she knows how to use it to her benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So at least she's that smart.
So when this is kind of getting into the weeds, but when she was, or when you first see Anya, and actually she kind of keeps this stuffed animal the whole time. She picks up a stuffed animal,
Yeah.
a chimera,
Yes.
and I was like, well, that's an interesting doll to have. Now this chimera also had horns, and I always thought like for Anya's design, it's just so out there for her to have like these horn. I don't think well, I don't know. I can't say for sure if she has horns or not, but in a flashback, her hair was tied up in a way that it was in the shape of those like caps, horns or whatever.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if she has keeps her hair tied up like that and she just wears caps over them, or if she's hiding something behind those or something, and maybe that's if the chimera is kind of a foreshadow of that. I don't know.
Ooh. Interesting.
And I also thought that maybe that could imply she. Well, we do know that she was in a scientific facility and they were running tests, and she was
Yeah.
able to get telepathy from that. So maybe they did some stuff where they were trying to put some sort of animal stuff into. I don't know. That doesn't quite make sense, but maybe it's just a sign of scientific experimentation.
Right. Yeah, I guess like my thoughts have always just been that it's probably just, well, she puts up her hair in those ball things and then just puts these caps over for, well,
Hmm.
because she thinks it looks nice perhaps, which I think it does. But it's an interesting theory about perhaps it being something else. And I guess it would make sense considering she's already supernatural with her telepathy. Um,
Right.
but I will say that another manga that Tetsuya Endo wrote before he started writing Spy Family is one called Rengoku no Ashe or Ash. I don't know, but anyway, it was just a one shot. I haven't read it, but I've seen like the cover of it. It was like just a short thing. It was just like one chapter long. I'm just like I've looked it up on my anime list, but on the cover of it, it's an image of a pink-haired girl with those exact same types of
Oh,
little horny
yeah.
things. Well, like, yeah.
That's fine. Horny's okay. It has an original meaning.
Yeah, yes. It looks a lot like a slightly older Anya, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and
Okay.
yeah, I agree.
Uh-huh. So I don't know exactly what that, or I can't. I've probably read the like some premise summary of it at some point, but I don't remember it right now. Obviously, I don't think it has anything to do with Spy Family at all, but it's just interesting how he sort of reused that design in a way for Anya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So I guess it remains to be seen if it has any significance. But I will keep it in mind though. Your idea there.
Yeah, I guess it could, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it is just his kind of or a design thing that he liked and he wanted to keep it.
Mm, could be. Yeah. But Anya has a big fascination for spy fiction. Like she loves this show called Spy Wars on TV, and so obviously with that she thinks Twilight is super cool, and well she thinks Yor is super cool too, probably for similar reasons. And you mentioned earlier like a little bit what we learned through the narration, like kind of through the narrator about her backstory, how she was well some organization was doing experimentations on her, and so she became a telepath like that. And we also learned that apparently they were doing that to her somehow to achieve world peace,
Hmm.
was also something that was mentioned. So I wonder if it was people in the East where she is found. Well, I guess that makes the most sense because that was where she was found. Um, so she probably was from there. So there were probably people in the East who tried to do something good for world peace. Even though
Who knows?
I feel like overall the East is portrayed more villain-like overall, sort of.
Well, I think it's also a possibility that one organization's or person's idea of world peace could be different from another one.
Oh yeah, right.
World peace could be I completely rule the world, or the our country is the sole ruler, versus everyone lives in
Yeah.
harmony or whatever.
Right. No, actually, that is a really good point. So we I guess we don't know for sure if it
Hmm.
was actually for a good cause or not. That's
But it
true.
would be an interesting twist if Anya was a product of experimentations done by the same organization as Twilight's. That would be
Ooh.
that would be interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, yeah. We need to know more about Twilight's organization.
Right.
Definitely. That that's something I'd like to know more of as well.
Or maybe it's not connected at all.
Uh,
You know.
right. I mean, at least if Anya's organization is from the East, then in that case they aren't related, obviously. But
Hmm.
still a possibility. But a little reference or whatever that I thought was kind of neat was how she used to be test subject 007 when she like before she escaped from that organization. Obviously, that's a reference to James Bond, Agent 007.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. Like surely that was a reference, right?
right. I mean, it has to have been. Like, I can't imagine any like. But yeah, they wouldn't have chosen that number if not to reference James Bond, which, as we've already said, I feel is in some sense, inspiration for the story, being like with the setting and spy stuff in general. I think it's got to be that.
Hmm.
So yeah, pretty neat. Actually, in the physical book which I read, I noticed that like a translation error or like an error, well, slightly translation related. During the interview scene at the end, when Anya introduces herself, she introduces herself as Anya Holger, not as Anya Forger.
Yeah, yeah.
Does she do that in your translation of this as well? Is it the same?
So in chapter 5,
Yeah.
yeah, I see Anya Holger here in my app.
Maybe it's the exact same translations here then, because obviously they went with officially they went with Forger. That's everywhere else in the book. The last name is Forger, but they accidentally wrote Holger here, which actually, because I remember from when I read this, like the chapters of this early on, and like fans were trying to translate the last name. Sometimes it was translated into Holger early on because, like in Japanese, H and F are sort of the same in Japanese, as well as L and R obviously are the same sound to them.
Hmm.
So to translate it to Holger or to Forger is they're really not that far apart. When you like got like well taking Japanese into consideration. So I like it. It makes sense, but still a little sloppy for them to accidentally keep that.
So I think something to realize is that when you're writing it, you're gonna be able to tell the the pronunciation difference. When you're hearing it, yeah, you could be like, oh, is that an F or an H or kind of a situation. But when you're writing it, especially if it's a ho or a hu, or
Yeah.
it should be easier to tell what or be able to pinpoint what they're trying to say. I
Yeah.
think what's happening here is she's messing up, like, because she messes up a few times. Like, she switches words. She can't quite remember what her address is.
Okay, so you're saying it's not an error on the writers?
Right. I think it's just an
Hmm.
error on Anya's part.
Okay. Hmm. True. Like yeah, she
I could
does
be
make
wrong, but
yeah. It's just the fact that Holger was one of those names that they actually used for their last name, like before they settled, or I guess before the official translators settled on Forger, makes me feel like it's an error in that kind of way. But yeah, I guess it's not a huge deal. I just wanted to point it out, see what
mhm.
you thought of it. Also to see if your translation had the same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, it
but
does. It does.
right, right, very well. I guess if anyone listening to this, at least on YouTube, where you can leave comments on here, if you know anything about this, if you know, like, if you have an explanation, please enlighten us.
Yeah. Without spoilers, please.
Exactly. Yes, please. No spoilers.
I would go to the wiki and just kind of just check it myself, but I can't.
Yes. Um, but yeah, I have nothing more on Anya. But go ahead if you have anything more.
I love her obsession with peanuts. Maybe love is a strong word, but I don't know. I just think I think it's a cute little thing, and yeah, maybe I could say they're comedy, but I think it's just a kind of funny little quirk she has.
Yeah.
Um, she has great facial expressions,
Oh my
the most out of
God.
anybody so far.
Her expressions are golden. Like,
Yeah,
oh my God.
he goes to town with them, man.
Uh-huh.
And not, it's not just even the facial expressions. It's although they usually have them, but her movements and just
Hmm.
mannerisms are different and easy to point out. I mean, not different as in it's kind of awkward, but just uh, when you compare them to the adults, it's very childlike and
Right.
but also cute. There's a time where she kind of like when she's snuggling up to Twilight, he gets
Hmm.
up and then and she kind of rolls onto the floor, and I don't know, just
Yeah.
kind of like I like how he drew that.
I agree. Yeah, it's so good. And oh my God, like the more we talk about this now, I just can't wait for the potential possibility of this being adapted into anime. Cause
Yeah,
it's gonna be so good.
I hope a good studio gets it.
Uh-huh.
It's not just like a slideshow thing, which I think this deserves to be pretty well animated.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's cute how she's getting the answers mixed up, but they just kind of rolled with it. No one, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Twilight was maybe getting a little stressed out, but they didn't really dwell on it too much. I kind of like
Yeah, I
that.
mean she was doing well enough. Like
Right.
I think the what was his name, Henderson.
Yeah.
He was like when she said the name of the principal, he was like, oh, I guess that's close enough.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty good.
Yeah. But my favorite thing she says there is, "Do you love your Or which is really stupid of a question. What score would you give your parents? Like,
Oh
what kind of
yeah.
question is that? Anyway, she goes like 100 points, or 10 out of 10, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know, I they're lots of fun. I love them.
Yes.
While the narrator says she's starved for entertainment, she's also starved for love. To
Yeah.
to automatically like love these two individuals like she does is pretty crazy. But she's also very, I mean, probably not even 6 years old,
Yeah.
and she is in need of parental figures, and I think she's willing to cling on to anybody who shows her love.
Yeah.
Um, so
Right.
I know that was really 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 wholesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, and how she says that she wants to be with them forever. That was also so
Yeah,
cute.
so
So,
precious. Yeah.
mm.
Hope they can. Hope they can.
Right.
And
Really. Really.
and of course, after that, she gets upset about thinking about her real mother, and so I guess we can't talk about this,
Yeah.
but just what
Mm.
happened with that, and what's
Exactly.
her story.
Yeah, like just spontaneously, I would guess that she was probably taken away from her real family at a young age in order to start being experimented on or something like that, you know?
I wondered, was it taken away or were they killed? Because if it's taken away,
Ah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
you wonder if it's taken away, like maybe she would try to have a goal to get back to where she was instead of just kind
Mm,
of dealing with being the child of some person.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But those are my two. I think those are the two likely options.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, her family is probably dead. I think you're probably right there.
Hmm. And that's all I have on Anya.
All right then, let's move on to your Forger, or well, she used to be your Briar, but now she's your Forger, and she also goes sometimes under the pseudonym Thorn Princess.
Dang, she's beautiful, man. Like, oh my
She is
gosh.
she's stunning. Oh my god,
Yeah.
she works at the city hall during the day, and by night she's an assassin. And yeah, she looks great.
And she's legal. I'm just kidding.
She's 27.
27. All right.
James already has a waifu for this. I mean, obviously, I mean, or I guess who wouldn't really
I mean, who
after having
wouldn't?
read it, who wouldn't
You
honestly?
got these like three, well, maybe two. Like one of them seemed okay, but the two like coworkers, like I could use bad words about them, but I won't. You
Yeah,
know, terrible people.
yeah,
So of course, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, you're
of
yes."
course, for sure. Yeah, she's gorgeous, absolutely, and she has a younger brother named Yuri.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Actually, in the old fan translations of this, her name was Yoru.
Oh yeah,
Makes sense, I
that
suppose,
makes
you know,
that makes
since
sense.
that's kind of how she has to be named in Japanese. But for some reason, they went with your only your in
Yeah.
the official English translations.
Sometimes I wonder about those official English translation if the the spelling of the name comes from the Japanese uh,
Hmm.
author. It's just like no, it's Y O R.
Yeah.
I
Right. I
I I
wonder.
wonder.
Yeah, because her name is definitely a little bit strange, I feel,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't really sound like a name that you would have in Europe, like Anya or Loid. Like
Mm-hmm.
your is definitely a little stranger. So
Although Yuri sounds Japanese. You know.
true, but isn't hasn't Yuri become like kind of, or I don't know where, if it has, like if it exists independently of the Japanese Yuri outside of Japan, or if it has come out of Japan and sort of become slightly common outside of Japan.
Oh, so I guess Yuri is also Russian, and it means farmer.
Wow, oh, that's interesting though. If it's a Russian name, and for them to be from the East, because Eastern Germany was sort of the Soviet Union's part of Germany, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose that would sort of make sense in that case.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Trying to see if yours Russian, but can't quite.
Hmm.
And another thing that we haven't really mentioned is I think there's a bit of British kind of influence here. Yeah, yeah, definitely the West and East Germany, but I feel like Lloyd kind of gives a British vibe as well. Am I wrong in thinking that, or what do you think?
Like the name
Yeah, well, the
or
name, but also just his backstory in general. Then again,
hmm.
you did point out that his, I guess, childhood town was destroyed by war, and obviously United Kingdom,
Hmm.
while it did have bombings, it didn't have like tanks, and it wasn't a war zone per se.
Right.
So yeah, anyway, I don't know. For some reason I felt just the train and the feel behind the espionage felt a bit British, but maybe that's the James Bond coming in.
I mean, I could see that like in more like mainland Europe as well, probably.
Mm, yeah. Anyway, I feel bad that she doesn't feel like she can fit in.
Yeah.
To be fair, yeah, she's in a pretty unique field of work, to say the least, and
Yeah.
kind of hard to blend in with the normal people. Um,
Hmm.
but it's also interesting that around this time you get close to being 30s, and you're almost ostracized as unmarriageable kind of a thing, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe not to that extreme. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I'm making it out, but I definitely feel like there was that stigma and
Yeah.
stereotype, you know?
Right. Right. I mean, she was really struggling with those sorts of like hearing that like pretty much everywhere. Like her brother was sort of pressuring her into finding a guy, and as we said, it also like the her coworkers were also very much putting that sort of pressure onto her.
Right. And there was this implication from Twilight that they were short on spies. At least the organization was,
Yeah.
and especially female ones. And then earlier, the coworkers had mentioned that there had been a lot of like ratting out on people who were 30 or women that were 30 because they had to be spies or something like that.
Hmm.
So I guess that actually did happen where they had these women spies, and because they were all single, they ended up getting ratted out. Is what I'm thinking.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. It makes sense, I think, to make that connection.
So I guess Yor would be kind of nervous about that as well.
Precisely. Yeah. And yeah, it makes sense. So I guess it was convenient for her to sort of to feel, even though it's very sad, it was convenient for her to feel that pressure to find a partner
True.
in in that time when she stumbled upon Twilight. But yeah, like I really felt for her when she came alone to that party and she was
Yeah.
looking at everybody and she was thinking like so this must be what ordinary looks like, and like
Right.
oh my god, that was honestly pretty sad. And man.
Well, just being alone at a party like that, like, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I feel bad. Or
Hmm.
I don't know how to express myself here, but it's yeah, it's a feeling I don't like, and to
Yeah.
see another person have to go through that is very sad. But
Right.
also, why do we have to deal with so many gossiping women lately in the manga we were reading? You know, I, it's like we're really there is something wrong with evil women lately. I don't know. Talking behind people's back and
Yeah.
spreading rumors and etc.
Yeah, you're right. That has been a thing in the mangas that we're covering lately.
They never had to
uh,
deal with that in Attack on Titan.
yeah. Oh my God. God bless Attack on Titan. Yeah. Well, about your we learned that she's been doing the work that she does, like the assassin type work, from a very young age, and I guess regarding finding out more about the characters' backstories, that's something that I'm very eager to learn more about. Like, why or how did she, find herself on that path?
Yeah, she had to raise her brother by herself, apparently, right?
Exactly, yeah, because he's a couple of years younger, supposedly.
Mm-hmm. And the person who hires her, or at least tells her what to do,
Right.
seems to be aware of her younger brother. Um,
Exactly. Right. Right.
almost on a personal level, it felt like.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was just the banter from him, or if he actually does know
Mm,
Yuri. Does that mean Yuri is in on this, or does he just know Yor so well that, and Yor has vented to him before, or her, I
right.
guess,
Mm-hmm,
uh,
mm-hmm.
that he could comment like that. I don't know, but it feels like he
Yeah.
understands them more on a personal basis than just some voice behind a phone. So
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
for sure. Yeah, definitely felt that way. So definitely, in addition to wanting to see more of Twilight's spy organization, I definitely want to see more of, well, of yours employer as well.
Mm-hmm.
See, see what that person is all about.
Yeah.
Something that we got a little bit, or well, it was really just a joke in pretty early after Yor had been introduced in the story here, when she was at her daytime work, and the ladies there were sort of joking, saying that they should put snot in the coffee, and and Yor was like, "Oh, does that make it taste better?" And so it doesn't seem like her sense of what makes food or drink taste good is very good.
That could be it. I mean, I have a feeling that she's not gonna be a very great cook. I think
Right.
that towards the end, I think that was kind of hinted at, that her cooking
Right.
skills. But she knows how to make tea. So,
Supposedly, yeah. Or did we ever see them drink her tea?
yeah, I think,
She definitely she served it twice, I think, but did we ever see
yeah.
them drink it?
What, were they just gonna let it sit there?
No, no, I mean, I feel like the scene's cut before they took any sips,
Oh,
if I
well, right, right.
recall.
Well, yeah, it cuts. I mean, but if it tasted bad, wouldn't they just be like, "Oh, please don't make tea anymore," like, or right?
Probably. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, after the first time anyway.
Yeah, but food, yeah, we don't know. Like maybe she's falls under the, oh crap, I can't cook to save my life
Maybe.
part. Um, but actually, that moment with Theo putting snot in the tea, I
Mm.
think it was just another sign of her being a bit naive and
Yeah, yeah.
just kind of quick to trust what people are saying. Um, but it's kind of to Twilight's benefit in that he could use most any excuse, and she's quick to kind of believe in that. Um, so
Mm.
in a way, she's kind of an airhead, kind of, but
Yeah,
also sharp,
definitely in some ways. Yeah.
right? She's not stupid, but
No.
just maybe just a little bit of a naive person.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I feel like she and Twilight are similar in that way, that they have their professions that they're really really good at,
Mm-hmm.
but then they kind of suck at a lot of other things, sort of. Like
I don't
I
know.
guess
I feel like
it's
Twilight's pretty competent in a lot of things.
he's definitely more so, like, it's easier to see that. I guess it's easier to see this in Yor, but I feel like even in Twilight, he, after the first time that he had been outside with Anya, he got home and he was completely pooped.
That's true. That's true.
Like, so, and like there were little hints of that, I felt, where, and as he in his thought monologues as well, how he pointed out how this is the hardest thing he's ever had to do, just being in a family. So
Hmm.
so yeah, even though it's maybe a bit more obvious with Yor, I feel like it's there as well with Twilight.
Yeah, I
Mm.
can agree, especially on the family side.
Right, right. Yeah. Anything more on Yor?
She has this fixation on murder in general, which it'd be one thing if she's like, "This is my job, assassin," that puts bread on the table, or I was
Yeah,
bribed to do it. It's
yeah,
another thing where she looks at a painting of guillotine stuff, and just like, "Oh
yeah,
my gosh, this is art," and then just kind of strokes a knife, a
yeah.
steak knife, like,
Yeah.
or even it may have been a butter knife, like.
Whatever it
She,
was.
whatever
Yeah.
it was, she was just, well. Why I say this, because butter knife is not even sharp, and yet she's just like, oh
True.
my gosh, yes,
Yeah.
or she's like huffing and puffing over it. I I don't. Anyway, I really like your. Obviously, there is the murder side that, yeah, I have a problem
Mhm.
with, but um, I mean, I am excited to see her character going forward, and truthfully, I'm excited to see her and, well, not just Twilight's relationship, like, them. This really sound like My Little Pony here. Twilight and Rainbow's butt face. Oh, those are my favorite ponies. Anyway, to see
Yeah.
their relationship grow, that's gonna be great. But also see Anya and yours relationship.
Mm,
That that's gonna be awesome.
definitely. Yeah.
I can't believe I brought up My Little Pony.
I never made the connection, but now I'll probably never unsee it.
The Twilight's like the only name I know, just because whenever I look up Twilight Princess, I always see this stupid My Little Pony crap. I don't want this. I want Midna. Next time I should type Midna. Anyway.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Is that it on the three main characters?
Yes.
All right. Then there probably isn't much at all on any of the others, but just a little bit on the rest of them. First of all, we got Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie. Yeah.
Curly-haired co-worker to Twilight.
He's a scruffy.
I don't really know what to say.
Yeah, I don't have much on him. Just he's the kind of like the handyman that every spy needs.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Someone's got to give him the gadgets and the intel, right?
Exactly. I don't know if he's the Q or the money penny to Twilight.
Good question.
Maybe a combination.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a solid bloke.
Yeah.
Then there's Henry Henderson. First of all, I love the name.
Yeah, I do too.
And, and he's an Eden Academy housemaster, and he strives to be elegant.
Elegant.
He was so funny.
Yeah, I like him. I do. Like at first,
Yeah.
in his first introduction, he obviously seems like a stick in the mud, but then you also have the old elegant stuff, and that's pretty funny. But he, in the final chapter, he really sticks to his morals.
Yeah.
I really like that about him, and maybe there'll be some sort of like little rivalry that him and Twilight will have, or I guess to say Loid will have.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to Loid, but or just their family in general. But I think he'll be a fun character that will have their back when they need it most. I think.
Yeah, right. He seems reliable.
Or maybe he won't be.
I just feel like at this point, after like they seem to have like won his trust at this point. So
Right.
I feel like with that done, I feel like he will be loyal to them, or like he will be a good person to them because he respects them.
Yeah.
Other characters we got.
Oh, sorry. One more thing about Henry Henderson.
Yes.
That punch felt great. Like,
It
that was
did.
so satisfying.
Right? I
Yeah.
completely agree. Want to talk about the guy he punched?
Sure.
His last name was Swan. I can't remember his first name right now.
I can't either. I
But
didn't care to really write much about him other than he was a
That's-
scumbag. But
totally fair.
I mean, obviously he was going through the divorce with his wife, and his wife took custody of the child. So any sort of family happiness, he's just I'm going to try to tear it down. It's like, jeez, man, what a jerk.
Totally. Other bad guys in this book that were introduced, although we didn't ever get to see him, but Donovan Desmond, the man who threatens the truth, or not the truth, the truce between East and West, and he's the leader of the National Unity Party. That's pretty much all we know. Well, we also know that he's a shut-in, kind of. He doesn't really go outside unless it's like for a parent meeting for the school. So that's the whole reason for Operation Strix.
Indeed.
And the last character I have noted down anything at all for is Edgar,
Yeah.
the bad guy leader who had a daughter named Karen, and he appeared 2 times in the book.
Right. I mean, I was just wondering, does he play a role afterwards? Is he kind of a reoccurring, not like a main boss kind of thing, speaking in video game terms, but more of a side kind of enemy or antagonist who, gets in the way in some of Twilight's missions, potentially. Who knows?
Right. I suppose we'll see.
Karen. I feel bad for Karen, but also she's a total Karen. So
Yeah.
sorry to all the Karens out there.
Yeah, I mean, apparently she's also doing some illegal things, so.
Right, exactly. So I didn't feel he probably put that in there. Yeah, he being the author probably put that in there to make us feel less bad for Twilight dumping her like he did.
Yeah. I don't have anything for any other characters. Do you?
I guess briefly, you already mentioned Yuri, um,
Oh yeah.
or actually Yuri is probably a more accurate way to say
Oh,
it.
probably.
That I just wonder if he'll play a role because you don't see his face, and sometimes that means that that face reveal will be later on.
Hmm.
And I don't know, just a thought I had that he may not, or well, he'll want to see Loid, see the man apparently that his sister married, right?
Yeah,
And
right, he should.
will he approve of Loid, and what will be of that? I'm just
Yeah.
curious to see all that.
That should be fun. But yeah, because yeah, like he definitely seemed to care a lot about his sister, so like I feel like it's pretty safe to assume he will appear,
Yeah.
and something along the lines of what you mentioned should happen,
Hmm. Right. Almost overprotective, like
Maybe, yeah, right,
yeah,
right. So
when
yeah.
he definitely shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah, she's quite capable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, should be fun. Should be a lot of fun. Then moving into the next segment, which is the comedy segment. This is where we talk
Yay!
about some of our favorite goofs and gags from this volume. And I just want to start off by mentioning the wedding scene. I feel like that's one of my favorite wedding scenes in any manga ever.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so funny. And like so fitting for these two characters. Like it's the perfect wedding for them.
Have you ever seen the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
I've not only heard about it. I've never seen it
I
though.
think it has like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Well, I'm pretty sure I
Oh.
fell asleep through the movie, but
Oh no.
yeah. Anyway, the concept is interesting. You have basically these two spies or assassins or whatever. I can't remember what their profession was, and they get married,
Hmm?
and then they eventually have to kill each other,
Oh no.
or whatever. I forget what the reasoning was, but they have to do that.
Hmm.
So just this whole thing where these two very intense professions, a spy and assassin,
Yeah.
you know, lack of a better word, marry each other, and have this like epic kind of explosion of a marriage or a proposal at least is yeah, it's very reminiscent of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and
Gotcha.
I guess I have more to say on that later.
Yeah, I mean, I just laughed throughout that whole
Oh yeah,
wedding
it's
pretty much. It
hilarious.
was so good.
Honestly, okay, maybe this is my romantic side
Uh-huh.
coming out, but I was kind of sad when he didn't have the ring. I was like, oh,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh, but it was so much better with the
diamond.
grenade though.
You're right. In my second read through, I was like, yeah, it was better. And to be honest, you're probably wouldn't want something that flashy. Maybe I don't know.
I don't. I mean, she likes her pretty dress a lot,
True,
even though
true.
she only has one dress, or at least one pretty dress. I think she says. Um.
Yeah, maybe she would have
Well,
liked that. I don't know. Either way,
maybe.
it worked. It worked. I mean,
Oh yeah, it
you
was
know.
so good. It was. Oh my god. But I feel like kind of the first hint of this manga being a comedy, at least that I noticed was at the beginning when that one spy delivered like the photographic evidence of the foreign minister
Hairpiece.
wearing a hairpiece.
Yeah.
It was like I like okay, it's a comedy. I see.
Like, yeah, it does a really good job of like faking out how serious it's supposed to be,
Right.
and then yeah, it's like this really really odd dirt on someone. Although
Yeah.
don't tell Edgar that it's pointless dirt. I get kind of just jumping. I love the kind of gag, the continuous gag is like if it's on sale. I think he only did it twice, but I hope it's a continuing line where Anya's just like, oh, can we get this incredibly dangerous or
Oh yeah.
impossible thing? And she's like, well, if we find it on sale. Yeah, can we get this
Yeah.
like silent pistol? Yeah, well, we find it on sale. Can we
Right.
can we buy a castle? You find it on sale. Like,
Oh my god, you're right. I didn't actually pick up on that. Like, or like, I remember them when you mentioned them, but it didn't. I think I didn't notice it when you, or when it happened in the story. That's pretty funny.
I think it's funny, and it almost
It
makes me want
is.
to use that in real life. I mean,
Yeah.
not if, I don't know if a kid, but just we should get this. Oh, we find it on sale. I don't know. It just seems funny.
It's good. Yeah, I like it. I wonder if that's something that Twilight's parents used to say to him or something.
Maybe.
Hmm. But I mean, I guess something I think you pointed out a little bit earlier, but Anya's like all of Anya's face expressions and her mannerisms and all of
Oh,
that
so
obviously
good.
is hilarious. And like her reactions, I think mostly to Twilight's and yours thoughts as she reads them, and she reacts to them even though nobody said anything. It's usually a lot of fun to see.
Like the hand
Uh,
holding,
oh yeah. Yeah, and like her like shocked expression to things when
Yeah,
she
yeah,
like
yeah.
usually you flip the page and like she just stands there just like ha! Like completely like oh my god, oh no, like this is horrible, like that kind of face. Uh,
I like the "Don't get rid of me. I'm good value. I'm of good value. I'm good value." Okay, that line. It's like in the middle
yeah,
of the town. Everybody could hear.
yeah. Yeah, that was not good for Twilight. It's so good. But probably the line though that made me laugh the most was when Anya said, "Ooh, a baconry. I love bacon." I feel like that's totally a thing that a kid would think or that a kid would say.
Right.
It's so good.
And then he corrects her, and she's just like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh no!"
So she likes bacon and peanuts, but she hates carrots. That's what we know.
Carrots. That's You don't see too many kids who don't like carrots.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe. Yeah.
it's usually like broccoli
Oh
or
yeah.
peppers. Mushroom.
Hmm.
Um, I like the hide and seek gag that I think it's in the first chapter. It's not really hide and seek, but on when Twilight's trying to leave the house, Anya keeps escaping and
Oh
following him.
yes.
I really find that funny,
Oh my
and
god.
she's like, "Wow, Papa's really good at this. This is fun."
Yeah, yeah. The fact that she was having fun with it made it even more funny. That was so good, yeah. And like, I feel like you could really, even though obviously it's all just still images, it's a manga after all. I mean, but I feel like you could still sort of feel the motion in it, like when
Right.
Loid was like pointing at her and like like he was discovering her and like going back to find her and like stuff like that was.
Hmm.
I feel like you could kind of feel the action in it in a way that was fun.
I agree.
And my last thing on comedy here is, well, we sort of mentioned it a little bit, but just kind of seeing Henderson as he was observing the Forger family and like he was reacting to everything they did and like, oh, such elegance.
Elegance.
So good.
So great.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun watching him react to that.
Just a couple lines from Anya.
Yes.
I love what she says, but there is no mommy. Like, just the way
Yeah.
she says that, I just like the line delivery. Granted,
Yeah.
there's no voice attached to it, but I just have this idea of how the voice should be, and to me, it's just really
Uh-huh.
funny. But there is no mommy. I just did that
Yeah.
really funny. Uh, and then
Uh,
when Frankie is dressed up as a woman, and
yes.
he walks away, kind of discouraged, and Anya's like, "You can have a peanut." Like,
Yeah.
just kind of rewards him with a peanut. Yeah, you deserve this. Good
Yeah.
job. Good work.
It was funny also how Frankie was pretty. He seemed to be all set to play the role of the wife.
Like, it's hard to make this figure look good, okay? I can't really work with it.
Uh,
Can you imagine someone being single at that age? Yeah, I know.
oh my god.
What a loser.
uh, I mean, there's a lot of singles in this story that are 27 plus.
Oh, yeah. 3 of them.
Yeah. Except two of them are married now,
Oh.
technically.
Oh, that's right. Technically, yeah, you're right.
Hmm. But at least they don't share a bed, though.
Yeah, no, not even the same room.
No, exactly.
Back in the I
Hmm.
think it was 1950s, I think, or maybe even before that, the in at least in America, it was common for husband and wife to have two separate beds, and they
Hmm.
would kind of like have like a lamp or something in between them. Um,
Oh, gotcha,
yeah,
gotcha.
I don't know why I said that random fact to you, but I did.
Oh, yeah,
I
you
did.
did
I
it.
did it.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I guess that situation is not what's going on here. There's nope separate rooms, which to be
Right. Yeah.
fair is definitely ideal for their private lives.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They're actually not
Well, they're actually not
romantic or
married, but
anything.
also
Yeah.
she's an assassin, he's a spy. They probably have some secrets they want to hide.
Absolutely.
Another thing, another Anya line is, "Am I being sold to traffickers?"
Oh yeah, yeah. And like, how did you like? Where did you learn that word?
Not if you're a good girl.
Oh
he
yeah.
kind of he kind of played along with it, but then he's like, "Where did she learn this crap?"
That's right. Yeah.
Uh, I love before the marriage, which you already mentioned, but before that, when they're running away and he does the concussive therapy, um,
Oh yeah.
and she like totally takes his word for it, and then she kicks the guy and he rolls, which is another funny moment. But she's like, "Oh my gosh, I shouldn't try to treat his condition as a layperson."
Yeah, yeah, and actually that was really funny too when like about him being like like a pretend psychiatrist when Anya was supposed to say his profession. She was like spy psychiatrist. That was like it made you be like, oh no, oh no, oh no, did she just out him? Like no, but she kind of made it work. Just switch places with the S and the P.
I don't know how Twilight is suspicious of Anya being able to say spy like that. I guess maybe his thinking right there is, well, she is obsessed with that television Spy Wars, so maybe that's
Exactly.
on her mind.
Yeah.
So, all right, okay.
Yeah.
There's only so much I could take.
Right, and especially I feel like this world, this fictional world, supernatural things like that doesn't seem to be a normal thing.
Right.
So so why would he really assume that she had supernatural powers like that?
Well, not necessarily assume she has telepathy, but if it was me and someone were to
Hmm.
say my secret, I would be like, okay, there could be coincidence, but I'm gonna be really just paranoid that they know somehow found out and they know.
True,
So if like
true.
yeah, if I was a spy and she said spy and then corrected to a psychiatrist or whatever, I'd be just like, okay, there's what why? Like,
Yeah.
there's something to this, but that's just me.
No, I think that's fair.
One other funny thing I have, there was other things, but one other favorite funny thing I have is they're saluting the statue, and
Oh yeah.
yours says something funny where she's, I don't know who this is, but I'll do whatever it is, and then I just like Anya, bald guy,
But
it's like
yeah.
bald guy.
So good. Yeah. But they were elegant all the
They
while.
were elegant all the way, you know. So all I have left are my predictions.
All right, then yeah, let's move into predictions and well, whatever else we might have left to say. So yeah, let's start with your predictions.
Sure, I guess just go right to the photo. Let's talk about ominous. Oh, how the photo fell from the wall at the very end.
Ah.
Like it was so heartwarming where they just cheers or to family or whatever, and then they
Yeah.
fell and it just ends on that note. It's like, wait, isn't this supposed to be a kind of a happy story? Uh, this one seems like it's trying to hint some sort of tragedy. It's like, what the heck?
Oh.
But it gets, it's like, but that's all. But that also was supposed to be comedic, so I get
I
that.
think so. Yeah, like I only read it as a comedic thing,
Oh,
honestly,
gotcha.
but I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is more to
I
it
mean,
than I.
is it supposed to be a bad sign that that things won't be smooth? I mean, I don't expect it to be completely smooth sailing, but
Mm,
yeah, it's just it's kind of like a little ominous that happens. And that's how the volume ends,
yeah.
but it also funny.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to my Mr. and Mrs. Spy, not Mr. and Mrs. Smith situation,
Right.
and this is probably way down the line, but I think a likely story point will be that Yor and Twilight have to take each other out, and not for ramen. For some food. I'm talking,
No.
kill. Um,
No.
yeah,
No.
that'd be
No.
pretty bad, right? It would be pretty sad.
No.
And I don't know if I want the story to go that way. It could be interesting, and I'm sure it would resolve in a good way. But
Right.
um, it just seems like when you have two assassins, basically, it just feels like that's going to be their end game, or that could be one. And I don't know exactly
Yeah.
where yours loyalty lies. I understand that Twilight is for Westalis, right?
Yeah.
That's his basically his country.
Hmm.
But your could be, oh shoot, what's the other one called?
Ostania or Ostania or
Ostani, Ostania,
whatever it is, however
Ostania,
it's
whatever
pronounced.
it is.
She is from there anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so to me, her employers could be heavy Ostanian and maybe National Party or whatever that the bad guys party potentially.
Yeah. Right. I
Um,
mean, who knows? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Obviously, but the person that she had to kill was a traitor to their country. It seems like, um,
Yeah. Mm.
and we had seen from Edgar that he thought the ambassador guy with the hairpiece was not. I mean, obviously he was a fake because of the hairpiece, but also he was too friendly with Stalis or something like that, and therefore a traitor or along those lines. So
Mm. Mm.
it just that got me thinking like, okay, he's using that kind of language. She's using that kind of language. Maybe there's not saying Edgar has any connection to her. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, but I don't think so. Um,
Right. Right.
but that potentially she could be very much pro Ostania and for the nation, and that could pit her and Twilight against each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely could see somehow that they would be pitted against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't think I think that would probably at least be initiated without her really knowing who she was going after, maybe.
Yeah.
But then when if she would know who like once she would see him, maybe then she wouldn't want to do it. Because I don't know, the impression I got about of your from this first book really was that I don't know, I got the feeling that she does the work she does for a living and not really anything else. Like I don't think she has necessarily taken a passionate stance for any one country
Well, she's
necessarily.
passionate about killing.
She's passionate about killing, yes. Uh, but at the same time, she has started a life with Twilight at this point. So
Mm-hmm.
and it's only going to probably just going to keep getting deeper,
Oh, I hope so.
like
Yes,
their relationship.
for sure.
So
No,
yeah,
I agree.
I'm just gonna say while I do really like your idea that there might be a showdown at some point between the two, because I feel like that probably makes sense with a story like this. I also agree with you that none of them would probably actually kill the other.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
Ultimately.
Yeah. No. No way. And
Yeah.
it could go down a few ways. It could be that they don't see each other, don't understand who they're going after. Just code names, and then they see each other. They go, wait a
Right.
minute, what the heck? That
Exactly.
could definitely happen.
Hmm.
It could also be, well, they get to that point, and then do they continue? Do they value their missions over the person they love? Um, that could be an inner
Mm,
conflict between them. That could be interesting to see them
for sure.
place their love, their family above their profession. That'd
Hmm.
be great to see. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I part of me is hoping that it will happen. The other part of me is kind of hoping that I didn't predict anything, and that it will go in a direction that I can't guess. But
Right. I mean, for sure. I mean, surely there will be a bunch of things that we couldn't have predicted. But
truly, yeah.
I something else that I want to say regarding this is Well, right now I'm thinking about Kaguya-sama Love is War, which, for those who don't know, is another series that we've been covering on Umami Manga. And that story also starts off largely comedic, like very non-serious, and like the first few volumes don't have a whole lot of too serious things. But
Yeah,
but later on, as the story moves forward, it definitely gets deeper and more serious, and in some cases even kind of sad and a little tragic. And so I was just thinking, like, what if this story sort of makes that journey as well? Personally, I think I would really enjoy that, because I think there's so much potential for more, well, hard situations that could be dealt with in a more mature way than just making everything into jokes,
hmm
perhaps. Obviously, I don't know. It might just be wonderful as a comedy through and through, but yeah, at the same time, I just wanted to point out that I think it could do really well with potential serious moments as well, like, or at least
for
have more of
sure.
that.
And I'm kind of expecting that, to be honest.
Right.
I didn't get the
Mm.
feeling of a pure comedy yet. I think it is more comedic than I probably. Well, I don't know how much I thought it. I actually thought it'd be pretty comedic, but I I think that again it's more wholesome than I thought it'd be. But
Right.
there is going to be some intense. I feel like there will be some intense moment. Now it won't be
Mm.
every volume, but
Mm.
there will be, I think, points down the line where you get some pretty serious and maybe some dangerous moments.
Yeah.
But
Definitely hope so.
we shall see.
Yeah, we will. We will. We have begun. We have begun this read through. I'm so excited. Uh, but a few other things here on the last talk of this episode. We've talked about the setting most likely being inspired by Germany, with East Germany and West Germany during the Cold War,
Yeah.
with Westphalia and Ostania. And there's even more to kind of prove that, I feel, with the city that most of this book takes place in being the capital city of Ostania, if I recall. Its name is Berlin.
Yeah.
It's literally Berlin,
Literally
but with a T
Berlin.
at the end.
Yeah. hmm
Yeah. So, which was located in East Germany. Although half of it was still part of West Germany. It was complicated, but
Oh yeah. Tear down your wall.
yeah. I wonder if Berlin in this story also has a wall and like part of it belongs to Westelis or something.
Yeah. Who knows?
If it's gonna go that accurately to the real world, or if it
hmm
just doesn't do that, I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out as well, regarding the world, and the last thing I got really is just, I love how Anya is shipping her mama and papa, as I think pretty much every reader does as well.
yeah.
I mean, what?
Well,
Who wouldn't?
I mean, right. It's almost like you can't not just
Yeah,
want them to get together. You know. It's.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, they're married, right? Like, technically speaking.
Right, for sure, exactly.
No, but yeah, I think it's cute that she's. I don't. I mean, obviously she wants a family, and so seeing her m- mother and father being, or mama and papa being lovey-dovey to each other would be maybe something of her dreams. But I think that Anya just kind of being like, "Are you two gonna kiss?" Just
Right.
it was funny, but it is also just like, oh, this is the moment. Like this, like she had seen it on her Spy Wars, and she's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is the time, right?
Yeah. It's like that meme, like, now kiss. And
Yeah.
you just press the two faces together. Yeah. Yeah, so many things to look forward to in the series at this point. But do you have anything more you'd like to say, or are we about to end this episode?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah.
Nice. Then Operation Strix is now underway.
Oh.
If you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our shows on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it around with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 2. Bye bye!
See you later. This message will self-destruct in 3, 2, 1. Kaboom! It was all Petter's plan the whole time.
Yes. Now everyone who listened to this episode has been
Mind blown.
Yes. Nice one.